the planets in the galaxy, they chose ours. They hide in small places.
This phone is dead.
What?
They light the dark.
Jay, any luck?
Just a minute.
There's nothing cute about them. They've come a long way, and they're hungry.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello, people.
This week, we're discussing the science fiction, horror, classic, Critters, starring Dee Wallace, Scott Grimes,
Billy Zane.
which I didn't even know he was in this. I've seen this movie 1,000 times, did not even know he was in this.
No, as soon as I saw those eyes, I'm like, is that Billy Zane?
Well, what's funny, because I literally, when I was a kid, let me just jump in. When I was a kid, I think I remember seeing this multiple times, like in the mid 80s, right? And then I have not seen it since. So Billy Zane, who, let's be honest, his part is a nothing part. Totally forgettable.
Yeah. He's here, he's there, he's gone.
He's here. It's basically the same Billy Zane that we remember from Back to the Future. Do you remember Billy Zane in Back to the Future?
Billy Zane was in Back to the Future?
Exactly.
Whatever you got to say about Billy Zane, he is beautiful.
We didn't know him.
Still is good looking. No, we didn't know him.
We didn't know him until, what, mid-90s?
He has super long eyelashes, so that's super sexy.
And I read somewhere, I was watching, they have that show, I'm going all over the map. There's that show
about the beauty of Billy Zane.
About the beauty of Billy Zane. That, they have the show called The Movies That Made Us on Netflix.
Yes.
And one of the episodes was Dirty Dancing. So I watched it, and originally, the main characters, Baby and Johnny, were going to be played by Billy Zane and Sarah Jessica Parker.
I can see that.
Billy can't dance, so we got the hook. That was...
That is a problem. I don't remember dancing in Titanic, but
not a whole lot.
I did only see it once, so maybe I missed that part.
No, he was close to greatness for basically the entire 80s. And then he was greatness in the 90s.
I gotta tell you, I never liked really any of those movies from back in the day.
What do you mean, any of those movies? What do you mean?
Like the Dirty Dancing, the coming of age dramedies bullshit. Not my scene.
It's funny because you're right.
I mean, I saw it, but it's some people it's like
I mean, it's not a movie that I would normally be like, oh, check out Dirty Dancing, but I have to say, it touched me right here in my heart.
Touch me in the morning. Yeah.
Then just walk away. Yes. I can't
Not
explain
my
it.
jam. And how about this? I've never seen Footloose all the way through.
Oh, perfect segue. Because we were talking, somebody was talking to, Brianna, our sister, texted my daughter Grace, who has this shirt that on the front says hardcore Christian, and then on the back says Bale fan. Brianna texted her saying, have you seen Swing Kids? And she's like, what?
Swing Heil! Oh my God.
And I described Swing Kids as Nazi Footloose.
Nazi Footloose. Absolutely.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, it's not
Swing Heil.
It is not the religious community with John Lithgow telling you not to dance. It's the Nazis. So take that with you what you will. So good time.
It's probably easier to rebel against John Lithgow than the Third Reich.
Just a little bit. Aaron, go ahead.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute.
Please.
Speaking of Christian Bale.
Yes.
I just watched Amsterdam because why not?
Saw it in the
it's
theater.
A holiday, and it's a nothing movie. But Christian Bale is in fact Columbo for 2 hours
because he has one eye. So that makes him Columbo?
No, it was the full accent and mannerisms. I thought I was watching Wings of Desire all over again.
Hey, I'm Peter Falk. There's my Peter Falk impression.
That is Christian Bale's freaking accent. If Peter Falk was like 6 feet tall and weighed like 170.
Look, I saw Amsterdam and it was fine. People like hated it though. People were like, I walked out of the theater, and I'm just like, I don't know if it was as bad as all that. I don't know.
I didn't walk out of the theater at Zombie, so I after you spend all that money, I mean, it's a Saturday, or it's a what's today? Monday, rainy Monday. It's on HBO. It's a nothing film, but whatever. It was okay.
It was okay. It was okay to decent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not great.
I'll never watch it again.
Not great. But it's not.
Yeah.
Again, I want to reiterate. I don't know, something about the director. People like hate the director and are kind of like rooting for him to fail. I'm trying to. David O.
Who's the
Russell.
director?
Is that the guy?
David Allen Greer.
David Allen Greer. People hate him, and I don't know why. I mean, there may be legitimate reasons to not like him.
What are his other films?
He's done a bunch of stuff with Christian Bale lately. He did like oh crap. I don't know. I could look it up. And I guess I'm going to.
By the way, on my next birthday, you too can get me the hardcore Christian Bale fan shirt. I would love that. I would love that.
You've caused my children.
I'm gonna wear it to work,
Christian. Because that's the thing. It's like you're gonna offend somebody at some point, like either right up front or when you turn around.
I say at least do it on purpose.
Do it on purpose.
At least you have control of the narrative, right?
Okay, Amsterdam was directed by David O. Russell, who I said, and he is famous for American Hustle, Silver Linings Playbook, The Fighter, Three Kings.
Silver Linings Playbook was delightful.
Joy.
I haven't seen the rest of these.
Other stuff.
I don't know. Is he a Me Too dude, or people just?
I could investigate, but I'm not going to at this moment. Get us back on track, Aaron. Tell us about Critters. 30-second synopsis.
First of all, I just would like to share that I've never seen this before.
You've heard of it, though.
I mean, I heard of it. I just assumed it was a Goonies ripoff.
You were mistaken. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. It's basically if Monchi Cheese and Tribbles and Sonic the Hedgehog had sex, then you would have these creatures. But unlike Tribbles from the old Star Trek, they don't give you a feeling of euphoria as they multiply out of control, squeezing you out of your space. Instead, it's more like the head from Trilogy of Terror constantly wanting to nibble at you.
Well, they don't multiply, at least not in this movie that I saw.
They get swole.
They get bigger.
Swole.
And only certain ones, like one gets really big and the rest kind of remain the same size, like a little furry bowling ball rolling down the hall.
With crazy Trilogy of Terror teeth, and like the Sonic the Hedgehog, they're hedgehogs basically. Yes. They roll.
Well, they shoot spines at you.
And they shoot spines at you. They're extraterrestrial, and they've escaped a prison. Apparently, there's some genocide going on in outer space where they're trying to get rid of these creatures. So a couple escaped, and correct me, this makes no sense. They killed two because the other ones were eating them out of house and home, and they're taking them to a prison where they're going to be killed.
Yes.
Why don't you just kill them all?
I wrote that down. Yes, that is absolutely. Yeah, our manifest.
Just jettison into space. And so they sent bounty hunters out to go find them and then a kid helps them. The end.
Very good.
The end, question mark? Because at the end, there's three, I swear to God, it was Game of Thrones dragon eggs waiting there in the hen house.
It's true. It's a sad situation.
It's going to be a dragon. That's how you get dragons. They hatch out of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay, so you had heard the title, but knew nothing about it. Is that correct?
Tell me what year this came out.
86.
Okay, so I was in college and way too cool for this shit. This more likely was I was not the target audience for this.
I have a feeling because I think by 86 we no longer had HBO or any of that stuff in our house
after the controversy.
Yes. So I believe I saw it just on TV. Like honestly, I believe I saw it on TV because I mean, let's be
like in the 90s or something.
Maybe late 80s. Late 80s.
Right.
But it's clearly like a kids movie almost. Wouldn't you agree? Whenever the main character is like a preteen, it's a movie for preteens, right?
I think it's the same audience as Gremlins. This is riding on the tails of Gremlins, except they were never cute.
Okay, that's the thing. There was a period in the mid 80s where little creatures attacking people was in vogue. Gremlins, Critters, Ghoulies.
Chud.
Ghoulies.
Oh, I haven't seen
There was even a movie
Ghoulies
called
either.
Munchies, which was a parody of these kind of movies because it was just
Isn't that a kind of a chip? They were called Munchies.
perhaps it's what you get.
They look like a Pringle,
Munchos.
but they were in a bag.
Munchos.
Oh, is that Munchos?
Munchos.
Munchos is what you get after you imbibe.
That is correct.
We're in California, people.
That's how we do. So everybody was trying to have their own little version of a little creature causing problems.
Because they're making bank.
Because they're making bank. Absolutely. Now, obviously, the most successful was Gremlins. No
Yes.
question. These other ones were all kind of chasing that high, if you will.
Well, and then there was so much marketing with Gremlins. You could have the cute Gremlins. They had a whole series of various gizmos, and then for your older teen, you can buy the demonic
Right.
Gremlin after it changed.
Right.
And nobody wants a critter.
It's a sad
Nobody
situation.
wants this. It's literally a bowling ball. The only time you're going to find this at the same store that carries like the Doll Man toys.
The Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, I think is what you're
The demonic toys. So the Nazi doll. That's the specialty
Okay,
store.
that's the
you're gonna
Puppet
see.
Master. You're mixing.
The Puppet Master,
You're
sorry.
mixing.
The demonic toys were the Puppet Master.
No.
Weren't they?
No. The Puppet Masters, they
Oh,
were
so-
like marionette type things. Whereas the demonic toys were just like toys that you might get at Toys R
Okay.
Us.
I'm gonna tell you you're wrong because I saw all the Puppet Master.
Yep.
Originally, it was like a Geppetto, and they were not the Nazi one, Screwhead, and the Leech
That's
Lady.
Puppet Master.
That's Puppet
Yes,
Master.
that's not demonic toys.
So what were the demonic toys?
Demonic toys, they were in some kind of a warehouse. I'm trying to remember, and it was literally they were possessed by the devil. And there's people trapped in the toy warehouse where all the toys come out. There's like the little robot. There's like a Jack in the Box.
So what are you saying? So those are the devil. What was the Nazi toy from Puppet
I
Master?
honestly have not-
Herman Goering or
Oh, Jesus, here we
an
go.
archangel?
Here we go.
Or is that supposed to be the kindly old Geppetto who dies?
I'm trying to remember, and I cannot remember what caused.
And
him.
if it's his soul, was he an old Nazi?
Probably.
Like our old neighbor.
Now, I haven't seen much. I've only seen the original Puppet Master, and I saw it 15 years ago. But they made like a ton of them, and there's a lot of Nazi stuff going in the Puppet Master movie. Like there's a lot of like the Littlest Reich and things like that, where I'm just like, whoa, why are we doing that?
Well,
why are we making that connection?
I think he was German. Didn't it take place in Europe?
No, that was Dolls.
No.
Dolls
Dolls
was like in England or something.
is solid. No, I'm talking about in the Puppet Master, there was a master, a kindly old man who was killed. And that's why, and these dolls were his
I think
friends.
that's true. Like in the opening credits, like the kindly dude dies, and then it's like Paul LeMat from American Graffiti or something shows up at the hotel. I can't explain it. And then a bunch of other people, and it's always like the dolls are bad, but it's really the people who are bad.
Right, it's the dolls getting revenge.
right.
They're like on bad people or whoever gets in their way.
And whoever gets in their way. That's exactly 100% correct.
But saying that, there are in fact no Nazi dolls in Critters.
Okay, Aaron, why don't we just abandon ship with all this Puppet Master crapola and jump right into the movie we're actually here to discuss, Critters. What are the highlights? What you got?
Basically, that they look like frickin' the severed head of Trilogy of Terror with the tiny rice teeth. And that they just clamp on you when they're not shooting you with the darts out of their head, like Sonic the Hedgehog.
They are very Sonic-esque the moment you say that. I was laughing, but you're absolutely right. They are being transported in space to some kind of prison place where they'll be executed. But the guy's like,
Uh-huh.
we had to kill 2 of them on the way here just because they were eating us out of house and home, essentially.
Yeah.
Then just kill them all. If
They just kill them all because they're like, you gotta lock them in there, you gotta sanitize them, and then schedule them for termination. Well, why don't you just jettison them out into space? What the
is
hell?
that called littering? I mean, I don't know how it works, frankly. And then somehow, without any explanation, the critters like explode out of the cell, steal a ship, and the guy's like, "Oh my god, they've escaped!" But we're not going to chase them just yet. Go ahead.
They're technological wizards. Yet, when they finally land on Earth, they spend most of their time ripping up people's
That's
pillows.
correct. There's a lot. There's a lot of. They're intelligent because they like talk to each other. There's language.
And fly
And they
ships.
that's the other thing. How the hell do they fly this ship? Right? There's the little critter with little like inch long hands. And it's like, are you kidding me? So the warden or whatever does not chase them immediately. Do you not have guards here that could chase them?
We're out of gas. They took our only ship. They're like,
let's count.
Seems like a lot of trouble. And it's like one of the dudes like from the space bar in Star Wars with like a tube coming out of his head.
Floating along.
Yes.
Yes, he's the organ player from Jabba's lair. Essentially, is that dude. Anywho, so they're like, well, I guess we'll send the bounty hunters. And that's the 2 dudes who have like no face and literally go uncredited in this movie. The 2 faceless bounty hunters. They said if you check the credits, there's no name for the bounty hunters.
Because it's probably one of the other jackasses who played the role.
Right.
They just keep changing into other people's faces, except for the one dude who sees like the fake 80s band and just becomes
That's
that dude.
correct. Yeah.
Billy, like a fake Billy Squire.
You love Billy Squire. It's always no. This is late model hair band. So this is like, I don't know, David Coverdale from Whitesnake. This isn't The Stroke. My kind of lover.
Oh my God, there's one thing consistent about 80s movies is they always throw in this really shitty like live music. They do it in every movie because they don't want to pay to actually have real music in it. So there's always something that is like just reeks. Even if you were into, it's not new wave, no hair metal person would ever listen to it. It's like hair metal music. And it all sounds the same in the 80s.
Well, he turns into Johnny Steele with his hit single "Power of the Night," if you will.
Played over
he only had
and
that
over
one song.
again.
He's a one-hit wonder, evidently. For no reason at all, the Krites land on Earth. There's no explanation why they have to land there.
And that's what they're called. They're the Krites.
Yes. They're called the Krites. Everyone else calls them the critters. Right. It's just happy happenstance that one person called them the critters and that happens to sound like their real name, the Krites. So, and I guess the hilarity of it is the one bounty hunter becomes Johnny Steele the entire movie. The other bounty hunter is constantly changing his face for no reason. For no reason at all. Here's the dead deputy. Now I have the dead deputy's face. Here's the preacher after we crash into his church for no reason. Now I'm gonna have the preacher's face. Okay. Are you surfing the internet right now? I see you on your phone.
I am posting onto Instagram.
Not appropriate during the show, Aaron.
I figure you'd be rambling on for a while.
let me toss the ball back into your court then. What you got?
Boom! What I got is what the hell is like I done a bad thing, George.
Yes!
So there's like a
Charlie.
dude who is Charlie, who at one point is Otis from Mayberry. So he's in the drunk take. He's dressed like he rolled in from the Dust Bowl 1930s. And he's like Lenny or George from of Mice and Men.
Smart one.
I done a bad
Which
thing,
way did he go,
George?
George? Which way did he go?
Which way did he go? Thank you, Bugs Bunny, for teaching us literature. And I think at the end he had a Molotov cocktail in his pocket. It's like literally the adult man is playing with explosives with the preteen.
That's correct.
And it's all
That's
good.
correct.
It's all good because we're
That's correct.
country. Is that about
Charlie?
right?
Charlie is an amalgam of a variety of poor freaks. Basically, he is the farmhand who is also like brain damaged. Essentially, like he's Lenny from Mice and Men. He's also a raving drunk. Okay, and he's also the crazy conspiracy theorist. I can hear the aliens talking to me through my fillings in my teeth. So,
yeah. All of the above. All of the above. And let's just say he's also an alien.
Well, later in the movie, the alien takes the face of Charlie. Later in the movie.
And really, if you look back at it, we don't need this character at all.
At all. Oh, and he's not a good farmhand.
At all.
He's just sitting in the corner on a hay bale, playing with the sun, breaking his slingshot. That's what he brings to the table.
Yes.
Thank you. You're fired.
The wrist rocket.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Go back to the drug tank. Sweet Jesus.
Oh my God. I assume it's the father's illegitimate son.
Wouldn't be shocking.
Because he looked like, I thought this was Grandpa. I didn't realize it was Dee Wallace's husband. Did you think it was her husband at the beginning?
Oh, goodness. I'd seen this movie.
He seemed much older.
He was much older. Oh, no question. Well, and that's the sad state. When it's, you're old when the mom and dad characters are younger than you are. So it's like Dee Wallace looks like she's about 30 in this movie.
Right.
Which is sad. And she's married to a dude who's at least 65. So who's to say?
It's 65.
May, December.
Clearly dyeing his hair. Yeah. There's not a lot of sizzle between them. Poor old Dee Wallace.
Poor old Dee Wallace. It's a sad situation.
I mean, she was amazing in E.T. And speaking of E.T., did you see the little E.T. doll at the end that the critters were poking
Well, he
at?
ripped it. The critter picks up the E.T. doll, the little plushie, and bites its head off. He tries to talk to it, finally just... And I got to tell you, most of the time you see the critters, it's clearly just like a sock puppet. Like a little, like a hand, behind the couch or something.
Oh, at one point, it is a full human male arm coming out and grabbing someone from behind a dresser. Yes. I mean, it literally looked like when I worked at a haunted house one time and Mom just made a furry glove, and I was supposed to be just the furry arm that came out to grab people. I mean,
it was like ridiculous. If Grover from Sesame Street grabbed you. That's not the most terrifying.
Tried to molest you. No.
It's a sad situation.
No.
Well, and the giant critter arm comes out of a drawer because they push a dresser up against the window. So we're to understand that the giant critter is inside the dresser now. Because that's the only way.
It burrowed through all the drawers, so now the dresser is hollow. Because what else could it be?
Indeedly do.
Unless it's got some kind of Stretch Armstrong arm. What the hell?
It's a sad situation. I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention the little boy, who's essentially the main protagonist, is up in his room all day making little sticks of dynamite. Essentially. Black powder.
Homeland Security. See, this is the 80s. You know what? Nowadays, it'd be Homeland Security.
Absolutely. I mean... Okay, look, I'm not a chemist or anything like that, but I know when I used to go to Tijuana, you could buy firecrackers, right? And then if firecrackers aren't strong enough for you, go to like M80s, which are like big, thick firecrackers.
Dude, I went to a place that had M500s. That was a quarter stick of dynamite.
So literally a quarter stick of dynamite. He makes this thing, which is like twice the thickness of a stick of dynamite, and it's like 9 inches long. So it is literally a stick of dynamite that he just has in his pocket of his jeans the entire movie as the critters are chasing at him.
All right. As you may know, I work in special education. So I used to always go to these conferences. And there was this gentleman, he wrote several books. His brother is really a
Okay.
famous writer too. But he was telling a story. His son is also, what they used to call
Yes.
Asperger's.
They don't call it that anymore?
Who love, no, it's that. Someone told me it's not even the spectrum. I work in special ed. We always say they're in the spectrum. And now it's neurodiversity, but neurodiversity covers ADHD and everything else. So in that, I don't know what the hell. So anyway, he was telling a story about his son, raising a son who loved to make things to go, and they'd go out and they'd explode out in the forest because they live out in the middle of nowhere. Homeland Security. Because he's ordering this stuff online. They had to hire attorneys. Right. They thought his son was
Anarchist
a terrorist.
cookbook, basically.
I remember stealing a copy of that from somebody in college who I didn't think needed to have that.
No! No one. I mean, literally, if you're like, I need the Anarchist cookbook, Homeland Security should be knocking on your door.
And it's always a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. Like it was 12 photocopies of a mimeograph.
Of a mimeograph.
I was like, no, this dude doesn't need that. I took it secretly, stuck it under my jacket.
It's ridiculous.
And threw it in the trash.
No one needs high explosives. How do I make high explosives with just simple household appliances? No. You don't need that.
Heating, fuel, and fertilizer.
Now,
that's Oklahoma
it absolutely
City.
is. There's Ted Kaczynski and Timothy McVeigh. We
Mm-hmm.
meet.
Ted Kaczynski.
I know. I'm putting them all together. So we also meet the daughter of this family who has broken up with her old boyfriend and is now bringing her new boyfriend over, and it's Billy Zane with a crazy ponytail in a sports car. It was the most.
Just a tiny ponytail.
Right. An artistic ponytail. That's exactly what it was.
He could have been Paul Revere.
Were we supposed to hate Billy Zane?
He was super polite and lovely. She was the aggressor.
Absolutely. He has dinner with them, and you got the sense that we're not supposed to like him, or the dad doesn't like him, whatever.
Dad doesn't like him because he's city. He's
from
city
New York.
And they're
he
country
just moved.
New York City.
He has dinner with them. It's very complimentary. This is so delicious. Thank you so much for having me. As the daughter's dragging him out, he's like, okay, well, where are we going to go? She's like, let's just drive over here to the barn 10 feet away from our front door.
And he's like, put off. He's like, what?
I'm not that kind of guy.
Excuse me, young lady. I don't know you.
Maybe we can have a little conversation first. My goodness.
I don't even know your middle name.
You're right, though. She's dragging him up to the hayloft where he's like, I guess for comedic effect, he has allergies to hay.
Oh, the whole time I was like, oh, this reminds me of when my kids were in 4-H and we met in the hayloft. I'm like, within 3 minutes, my eyes had like crusted over and I was sneezing uncontrollably. That's like my nightmare. You want to torture me? Throw me in the hayloft.
But so they get down to biz regardless. So the entire evening, they're basically doing the bone dance until the Kreitz attack, essentially.
But there was no nudity, so that was just extended foreplay.
That's exactly right. Heavy petting. That's what we.
Heavy petting.
Exactly right. Because again, this movie could just be on regular TV, as far as I'm concerned. There's a little language that they'd probably bleep out or skip over, but the violence isn't anything ridiculous. There's absolutely
no guts. There's just blood where the things bite you, explosions.
Well, and when the dad is attacked, the Krite literally jumps on his shoulder and just sinks his teeth into his shoulder. The dad does not let out a noise. Nothing. Later, the Krite bites him on the thigh.
Like, what the hell?
Same difference. They're like, Dad! And he's like, don't come down here. I'm being eaten alive. Don't come. But he lives.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Are they eating them? Because the sheriff that they killed.
Oh, the deputy?
He had like lamprey marks on him or something. What exactly are they doing?
So I have to talk about that scene. That is hilarious. The deputy sees a Krite roll across the street and gets into a a fishtail, spins out.
He flipped, like, goes off a cliff because something ran
Right.
across the road.
Crashes
What the hell?
into a gully. He gets out and he's promptly killed by the Kreitz, and you see his corpse like underneath the car, essentially. So when the bounty hunters arrive, they see him, and then the bounty hunter changes his appearance to look like the dead deputy. Then they get into the car and then just back up. Does that mean they just ran over the corpse of the deputy without a word to say?
They didn't giza.
Pop him like a grape?
Pop him
Very
like
upsetting.
a grape. That's how we do it.
So,
Yeah.
not your cup of tea, I'm guessing.
I'm not overly
Not overly excited. So that's the comedy. This one family is under siege and there's 8 Kreitz. 8 that are the size
Right.
of like a cassava melon, initially, essentially. And then the bounty hunters are walking through town, just shooting everything.
Exploding. The parents with the shotgun are more effective than the bounty hunters or anyone.
Well, and
else.
I think that's meant to be comedy, right? Where it's like, because they literally, when he,
meant to be. If you have to tell me it's comedy,
not
Kevin,
so much.
I'm thinking it's not so much.
Well,
comedy.
it's a valiant effort, if anything, right? So it's like,
Is it?
Again, they crash into the church for no reason and then shoot it up. They blow up the
whole back of the church is gone, and they pull up so they can see the church just keeps continuing, even though it's been sliced off. And then the police roll in dressed like the Lost Boys. There was some comment about they look like people from Los Angeles.
They did say that. And they shoot the old organ in the corner that Mildred was playing for no reason. Then shoot up
Yeah. They just showed up to random places. Nobody saw Crazy Tribble roll up there. They're just blowing up houses as they go.
Doing drive-bys on innocent people at the bowling alley. Very upsetting.
Yeah, what was the tip-off that the Tribbles were all hanging out at the bowling alley? None. They just were driving down the street, blowing up whatever houses happened to be on the way.
To comedic effect. So, later in the movie, and feel free to jump in at any time. Later in the movie, Scott Grimes, the little boy, throws like a firecracker at the critter. The critter, for absolutely no reason, picks up the firecracker and just eats it. Pops it in his mouth, and of course, it kind of does a cartoony thing where it kind of like inflates, and then smoke comes out of its mouth, and then it just like flops over.
It like burps. That was the funniest part in the entire
That was the winner? That was the one that did it?
That was the winner. I'm sorry, did you find another scene more hilarious?
I mean, what? No, I guess is a short answer.
That was the comedic.
That was the comedic highlight. So one thing that go ahead.
Oh, the comedic highlight.
There aren't many because
I thought you told me it was a
trying
comedy.
To be funny. I think it was a movie meant for like middle schoolers. And middle school boys. So it was that. It was like explosions are funny kind of thing. It was like the little critters making comments, or here's a little puppet and it drops an F-bomb. That's comedy. That's comedy. No?
It is. It's so funny. It's really funny when little kids are sassy to their parents and when they cuss or smoke on
We
TV.
love it.
That's really, we need to have more like 8-year-olds smoking.
We love it. We love it.
Best.
So that's kind of the thing. One thing I did notice, like I said, this goes back to the fact that this could just be on regular TV, honestly, minus an F-bomb, is like the father gets bitten, but he seems fine. He gets bitten multiple times, seems fine. Billy Zane is killed in a remarkably bloodless, I mean, like a little blood around his mouth. You don't see much. Didn't put up much of a fight.
He's more of a lover.
That's true.
Than a
the
fighter.
Ponytail tells you that. And the deputy is killed underneath the car off screen, essentially. No one else is killed. And no females are really even hurt, right? The mom and the sister take a quill in the neck. which gives it like kind of knocks him out for a little bit, but they're fine. No worse for the wear. And the little
Yes.
boy suffers
Yes.
no ill effects. He does not skin his knee. So there you go. Good
Yeah.
times.
I mean, really, if we think about it, who did they kill? They only killed the
And
police
Billy
officer,
Zane.
right? And
They
Billy
killed two. They killed two people that we didn't really care about all that much. Jeff the deputy and Billy Zane, whose name I can't remember. That was it.
We'll just call him
Billy.
Billy.
That was it. Such is life.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts and feelings you got on this one?
I ain't got nothing else. I've already went through my 2 pages of notes because I don't really care.
Let's see. Why did they come to Earth?
What was on the bowling shirts? What exactly was that? There's like a pin, and they had the red circle with a line in it.
It was.
No
It was.
pins?
It was.
What
It was
is
a
that
takeoff
supposed
of
to
the
mean?
Ghostbusters symbol, but instead of a ghost, it's a pin for like a bowling pin. What
Right.
does it mean?
Because Ghostbusters busted ghosts. No ghosts. So no pins?
No ghosts. They ain't afraid of no pins.
Oh, maybe it's no spares. I don't know. I was like, what does this
It makes
mean?
no GD sense. So I said,
All right. I did like the glitter bowling shirts. I'm like, I was on a league. Nobody told me glitter was an option.
well,
for
okay,
bowling
what
shirts.
day of the week is this? A Friday night? Is this a Tuesday? Because the bowling alley is packed.
No. The bowling. Well, I mean, that's probably
Nothing
the only
else
thing
going
in
on.
town.
It's the championships in their defense.
Nope. Yes. So yeah, that was like dad wanted the daughter to come out. It's your dad's league night. You don't want to miss that. Bring your boyfriend. You can watch me bowl. Nothing more fun than watching
It's
somebody
hours
else
of fun. No question.
Hours of fun. That's the worst. I don't know how people watch that on TV. Second only to watching golf. Golf is other people playing golf. I get playing golf, but watching people play golf. Come on.
Oh, you know what I was going to ask? They are on a cattle farm. We know this because we see the one cow has been attacked and like eaten up. And they said, oh, it's just one of the herd. Something's got one of the herd. Why wouldn't they just continue to go after the cows instead of terrorizing this family for no reason?
Because they're little assholes.
What
are they? They need to feed. What are they eating? They're not eating the people. The officer was fairly intact.
Right. But then they do establish like...
Did they eat some food in the house? Like proper food?
I don't think so.
So...
And how are they ate the chickens in the coop. They ate one cow that we saw. And that's the other thing. It's like the more they eat, the bigger they get. But you only see like one that keeps getting bigger and bigger. Unless I'm
one thinks that this must be a budgetary. Or one of them's more of a pig. I don't know. Maybe he ate the other two.
Well, and you don't really get a good long look at the big one. You see like an arm here, and there's like a shadowy figure in the distance over there.
Because they know if they showed us, we would walk out of the theater like
Screaming.
Your friends did in Amsterdam. Just like, the horror!
It would be an Amsterdam moment. No question. People would just say,
it's
I'm out.
Pure schlep rock.
So here's my other question. We don't know what night this takes place. Why was church in session in the middle of this night?
Easter Vigil?
It could
I
be.
don't think they were Catholics. You know, here in Bakersfield, nobody gives homework on Wednesdays because some of these I can't even say the word. Some of these non-Catholic Christians also go to church on Wednesdays.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then maybe it's a Wednesday night.
Maybe
answers
this
some
is
questions.
Bakersfield. Maybe it was filmed here.
Well, there's one scene
That
next
was
to where
Bakersfield?
it says Grover's Bend, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Is where it takes place, which does not explain the father's thick Southern accent. So I don't know what the story is.
I think people move like, you know, like how people move around California. I bet people move from state to state.
It's allowed.
I gotta tell you, one of my friends, her cousin married someone from Louisiana, and he now lives in California.
That sounds apocryphal. Not sure I'm buying all that goofiness. Any other thoughts and feelings you got?
I don't have many thoughts, nor do I have many feelings. I did write down that he had a police poster, and then right next to it was The Boss, which doesn't seem to have a singular flow. Those are two very different musical
you're talking
experiences.
about. I didn't know what you were talking about. You're like, there's the police and then there's the boss. You're talking about the sheriff?
I said
Okay.
posters in the kids' room.
Okay.
And then he's listening to, what is it? Johnny Lovelace.
Johnny
Johnny Steele.
Lovelace. Yes, that's what he's listening to. Sweet Jesus.
I'm like, that doesn't flow. If you're listening to the police, you're not listening to the boss. I mean, come on.
You can have, just like people can move from state to state, you're allowed to have varied musical interests.
Never been a big Springsteen fan. I liked early Police when they were more ska-y. As you say, less King of Pain, more ska Police.
Well, that's what broke up the Police, you understand, is that Gordon Sumner's musical taste started to flow towards the esoteric Eastern philosophy.
Like the Beatles. The Police are like the Beatles.
They are. They are very much so.
And what, Copeland only wanted to just keep rocking the ska?
They had divergent musical interests. And Andy Summers was like, I'm tired of being the go-between. We're out. And that was it.
I'm sure Sting was a total prick.
Very upsetting.
With his naked, oiled body.
Nothing wrong with that. Whatever floats your boat.
I'm more of a Stuart Copeland fan.
Are you now? Stuart Copeland famously did the theme, the score for Highlander 2: The Quickening. So there you go.
Rumblefish, my friend. Rumblefish.
Oh, Jesus. Now it comes back to Rumblefish.
It all comes back to Rumblefish, where I stayed up all night on acid, listening on the repeat the Stuart Copeland Rumblefish soundtrack while reading Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And by 6 a.m., I was crying, going, I'm never going to be normal again.
It's true, though.
It's true. Never was. Never
Those
was.
words were never more prophetic than in that moment.
Thank you, Stuart Copeland and Hunter S. Thompson.
You knew it. Oh, sweet. Bret Easton Ellis. Shall we go behind the scenes?
It was my less than zero moment.
No question. Shall we go behind the scenes, damn it?
I'm going to tell you something behind the scenes. When I Googled this to confirm, in fact, it was Billy Zane, it was telling me that Leonardo DiCaprio was in this. So I fast forwarded the entire movie.
I don't think so.
And then I deep dove into it. And they're like, oh, no. That's Critters 2 and 3.
Oh, that's interesting. See, and that's the thing. They made multiple sequels to this. They made a made-for-TV movie. They made a remake.
They made her TV movie on Critters?
On Critters. There was a remake. There was a couple remakes. There was actually a TV series called The Critters. There was a short that dealt with just the bounty hunters, because people love the bounty hunters. I mean, it was a phenomenon.
You know what they missed? And I haven't seen the other ones. At some point, someone needed to pick one up like a bowling ball. I thought that's where we were going with the bowling.
Yes.
And we're going to bowl one of these little creatures. And they're
in a bowling alley.
They're in a bowling alley. This was your perfect opportunity. Throw it down the lanes.
I agree. Missed opportunity. Behind the scenes. Corey Burton, who voices the Critters, also came up with their language, which he describes in interviews as combining elements of French and Japanese.
Shut the up. French and Japanese.
You just invented a language.
There we go. I just invented a language. And I am channeling ancient Aramaic with a sousant of the Belarus Russian.
That's important. Let me write this down. Although promoted as New Line's answer to Gremlins, the screenplay had been written and bought before Gremlins was announced.
Yeah.
It's
all a rip-off of E.T. Now that I'm going to go earlier. It's all a rip-off of E.T.
The writer slash director says it was based upon nightmares that he used to have as a child. So there you go.
I reject that. He had nightmares of Sonic the Hedgehog rolling down the stairs.
Yes, to answer your question. Charles Chodo based the design of the Krites on the Looney Tunes character Taz the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, no. He spins around. He makes a
So
tornado.
do these. They roll him. He doesn't roll, but
he was a tornado. I reject. Reject.
There's an E.T. the extraterrestrial doll. Dee Wallace was in E.T. the extraterrestrial.
It was her finest role.
Her finest.
Second is Cujo. After that, she could have just taken a nap.
The Howling. Need I say more?
Not a big fan.
Not so much. Let's see. The sequence of the critter.
I have no memory of The Howling.
That's your problem. That's your first mistake. The sequence of the critter swallowing a cherry bomb was controlled by puppeteers who were positioned below in the hayloft to operate the stomach and eye movements. Crew members commented that it took some effort to coordinate the critter's bulging stomach and eyes that was kneeling over in the hay due to the number of people needed to articulate it. So it's not just a hand puppet, evidently. Very upsetting.
It's like Data from Star Trek.
It is. Although that just takes one person to operate, as far as I know. The critter emerging from the toilet is likely an homage to Ghoulies, where a similar thing happens. Ghoulie, there's literally a scene on the posters where it's like there's the little Ghoulie standing in the toilet, and the tagline for Ghoulies was "They'll get you in the end."
That's kind of clever. I like that.
There you go. Good
But
time.
it was a thing that things were going to come up out of your toilet and bite you in the ass. I think it was more like outhouses, like when we were little, all our vacations involved camping and primitive camping, which meant pit toilet. And you were always certain there was something going to crawl right up your ass.
I love it. Camping and primitive camping.
That's
Or
the
because
worst.
like living homeless. Is that what you're saying? I don't know what that means.
That means no hookups, no electrical, no water, and no flush toilets.
Very upsetting.
Pit toilets.
The prop department used Merkins from the local Nice and Naughty store for the critters. Do you know what
Holy shit, wait a minute. If I go to a dirty store, I could buy Merkins? I thought that was like some special thing. You're just blowing my mind. Because actually, we have a Hustler store. I'm going to call up and ask if they have Merkins. I'm writing this down.
Do not.
Merkins! And I want one like a clown one, like a rainbow afro Merkin.
That would defeat the purpose. Do you know why people originally wore Merkins?
I think it was during lovemaking scenes or something.
Before
to provide a shield.
Before you're absolutely right. That's why they're primarily used these days. So it's like if you're in a sex scene, they slap a fake piece of hair down below.
So a labia doesn't accidentally fall out.
That is correct. That is correct. Originally, Merkins, people write this down, this is important information, were from like hundreds of years ago. Basically, people were too diseased, so they literally, like, all their pubic hair would fall out. So the wealthy, because they were so gross, they would literally just have fake pubic hair, like, and stick that down there as a sign of their vitality.
And how things change. Now they're trying to sell you a bill of goods that you need to remove all your hair, and men and women, because it's just cleaner. If hair is dirty, what's that on your head?
I don't think people say it's cleaner. I think it's just an aesthetic choice.
No, I was asking my wax lady. I was not getting a Brazilian, but I see they have a lot of men. She's like, it used to just be gay men, but now all men do it. It's just cleaner.
I think she means like visually less cluttered, not clean in terms of you're still a filthy creature before and after. I don't think that changes anything.
Hairy balls, not hairy balls. They're still balls.
Okay. Body count for this movie. A cow, 2 humans, 8 Krites, and several chickens. So there you go.
In case you wanted to know, Merkins are held on with some special Merkin tape. onto the bare skin. Apparently,
It's
there's
true.
some glue you can use.
It's spirit gum.
Ooh, there's a wiki how on how to attach your merkin with pictures. I'm clicking on that.
Okay, okay.
See,
enough,
look,
enough.
there's
No, I'm not
orange
gonna
ones.
look.
There's leopard print ones.
Okay,
You
I'm
made me
out.
sound like I couldn't get a Bozo the Clown one, but
I'm out.
apparently you can.
I'm out. It's a Bozo the Clown. I always liked Harpo. Remember Harpo the Clown?
Well, you probably could. That would just be a blonde, extra curly
No,
merkin.
there was Harpo who was with the Marx Brothers, but there's also Harpo the Clown. Damn
Oh,
it.
see, this says you got to wax completely to glue that thing down. So why would you wax to then glue fake hair over your hoo-ha?
Well,
That makes no sense to me.
this is true. I think the issue is if you don't, it's quicker. Let's say you don't have that much hair down there for a variety of reasons,
And you need a lot of it?
so you might as well just do a quick shave and then slap the big old 70s
Like you
style.
just want a big 70s bush.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Okay, enough.
No, wait a second.
No more, please. People are tuning out, and I don't blame them.
You can, in fact, buy a merkin on Amazon. But it does look like Gorilla Skull. It says novelty gag gift. So it's probably not your highest quality.
One
So-
would argue. One
would argue. Continue on.
Shall we talk about the cast and crew? For God's sakes.
Go for it.
The guys who did all of the critter effects are the famous Chodo brothers.
The
Who-
ones from the Killer Clowns from
The
Outer
ones from
Space?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
They took their
It
real.
was their Bruce Springsteen poster they hung up. The boss!
That's absolutely correct. I don't think there's any question about that. The director is Stephen Herrick. You know him from Critters. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He was the director. Mr. Holland's Opus with
I
Richard
didn't
Dreyfuss.
like that either. I might have liked Bill and Ted's better than Mr. Holland.
Oh, because Mr. Holland was not a sympathetic character. He was rude to his deaf son for no
He was a
reason.
dirty cheater. I was like,
He did not cheat, but he did consider running off with a 16-year-old to New York.
oh God, it was so creepy.
Very
I
upsetting.
did not care for that.
It was a different time. He also directed the
Was it
Three
the
Musketeers.
1800s?
It was he was wearing a merkin. He also directed the Three Musketeers with Charlie Sheen.
Oh,
and,
Lord.
I
I thought you said everybody hated this dude.
No, what? No, that's Babylon.
Oh,
or,
that's
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Sorry, kids, we're getting our movies. We discussed Amsterdam before we went live. So
Amsterdam, you.
Amsterdammed.
Okay, let's talk about the cast. Dee Wallace played Helen Brown.
Yes.
You know her from E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yes.
Cujo,
Her shining moment.
Cujo, The Howling, and Critters.
Okay.
Emmett Walsh played Harv the Sheriff. He's been in
Yeah.
a ton of stuff.
Ton of stuff since the dawn of time.
He was in Blood Simple, Blade Runner, The Jerk, My Best Friend's Wedding. The list goes on. and on.
Everything.
Billy Greenbush played Jay Brown, the father. He was known for The Hitcher. He was Trooper Donner. 5 Easy Pieces. Critters. He was in Jason Goes to Hell as the sheriff. And crazily enough, his daughters played the youngest Ingalls sister in Little House on the Prairie.
Greenbush.
Like Lindsay Greenbush. Yeah,
Lindsay and Sydney Greenbush.
that was it. Scott Brown played Brad, the son. You know him from American Dad, Critters, Mystery Alaska, and Robin Hood, the one with Russell Crowe.
Never saw that.
There you go. He's been in a
Next.
I think he's on that Seth MacFarlane show, The Orville, right now, if I'm not totally mistaken this.
Not familiar.
Nadine Vandervelde played April, the older sister. You know her from, I don't know, Critters.
Seems like I used to know a Vandervelde.
She was in The Munchies. She wrote the Roly Poly Oly show. She was executive producer. on
What?
The
I
Fresh
didn't see
Beat
the
Band.
show, But my kids used to have the Roly Poly Oly books.
There you go. She's multi-talented.
All right, good for her.
Let's see. Billy Zane played Steve Elliott, the boyfriend from New York. You know him from Titanic, The Phantom, Dead Calm, Back to the Future. He's been in a bunch of those things.
And the Crypt Keeper, Tales from the Crypt,
and Tales
Demon Knight,
Demon Knight, which we love.
Yeah.
Ethan Phillips played Jeff, the deputy. I only recognize this dude. He was, if I'm not totally crazy, he was on Benson with Robert Guillaume back in the 80s. So there you go. He's also inside Llewyn Davis, Irrational Man, The Island, Star Trek Voyager.
Wait, which The Island? The Michael Caine Island with the pirates?
No.
Oh, too bad.
This was Ewan McGregor and
it's a different
Scarlett
island.
Johansson.
It's not the Peter Benchley story.
Not Peter Benchley.
With modern day pirates living in the Caribbean.
Lynn Shay played Sally, the receptionist.
She's in everything. She's in our Insidious movies. I was like, is that her?
Yep. She was in There's Something About Mary. She was in Kingpin.
Oh, she was the dried up neighbor with the little dog. Oh my God.
What's funny is the reason why she's in so much stuff is that her husband was named Bob Shay, and he was the executive in charge of New Line Pictures.
All I can tell you is she did what she was supposed to do. She wasn't
Absolutely.
just holding up scenery.
No. She was not Mrs. Brody in Jaws, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Who was also married to like the head of the Sid Sheinberg, the head of the studio.
And to her credit, she was fine in Jaws.
She was fine. You're absolutely right. But notice she was in like Jaws 1, Jaws 2, Jaws the Revenge.
She ain't got nothing else going
1941, also produced by the same people. Anyway, neither here nor there. Shall we talk about the ratings?
Lay it on me.
Critters. Currently.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Johnny's Thunder. He ended up being like a huge Broadway star.
Johnny Steele.
He got like Tony Awards for Cats and all kinds of shit. He was in the TV version or the movie version of A Chorus Line. He played the choreographer, but he was like major parts on Broadway.
He was nominated for a Daytime Emmy for his work on As the World Turns. So there you go.
That's not. His name was
Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann.
The Boat Rocker. He was in Critters, Critters 4, Sense8, Critters 2. He's in a lot of Critters work, if you will.
A lot of Critter work, but he did a lot on Broadway.
There you go. Critters currently has a 50% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what the audience gave it?
60.
45.
Who is this audience?
Us, basically, is a sad reality. Let's take a look at the top critics. See if there's anybody that I recognize. Roger Ebert!
Oh, sweet Jesus.
In 2000, he went back and looked at this movie, and he says, "What makes Critters more than a ripoff are its humor and its sense of style. This is a movie made by people who must have had fun making it." 3 out of 4.
What the fuck? He used to be the voice of reason. Now it's all feel good. Even if I'm giving you 1 star because you bored me, these critics now just make it sound so nice. I guess you don't get invited to premieres if you're like, what is this shit?
Sad but true. Variety staff. I love it when they say the Variety staff did this one.
Somebody wrote about it. We don't know.
Who's to say? This was done in 2021. I love that people are going back and looking at this in 2021. Critters resemble oversized hairballs and roll like tumbleweeds when prodded into action.
One might say a merkin.
One might! The perfect menace for this irritatingly insipid and lightweight film, which unfolds with plotting predictability and leaves few cliches unturned. So there you go.
Few cliches unturned. Okay.
They were not a fan. Not a fan. What is your rating of Critters?
I say it's better than 50%. I am going to give it, out of 5, I'm going to give it 2 critters.
That's not better than 50%, by the way. I don't teach math, but
I'm not a mathematician, but I'm gonna say 2 critter merkins are better than 1. I don't know.
2
2 out of 5
better than 1. Okay.
merkins made out of critters. How about that?
That would be painful, I
It would be
imagine.
very, very. But it's kind of like a chastity belt with the little spears and stuff. It's really something to consider.
I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 Billy Zane ponytails. It's not offensive. It's not horrible. It's just kind of middle of the road. You know what I mean? If
It
it's
was less interesting than Amsterdam, which is not that interesting.
Would you have walked out of Critters angrily?
I've got my popcorn, so I can always just take a nap. So I'm not sure if I have ever walked out of a movie.
I don't think I have either. It would literally have to be something like grotesque to have me get up and be like, I cannot stomach watching this. It would have to be that kind of what we're talking about. It can't just be kind of boring. It can't just be kind of, it has to be something like I will be violently ill if I have to sit and watch this. Otherwise, I'm in.
Plus you're with other people. I figure I've got my popcorn. I have my movie blanket. Unless they're crawling their way to the exit, I'll just go to sleep.
Unless I'm crazy, I think I remember one time where a friend of mine, there was like 4 of us or something watching a movie. I don't even remember what the movie was, but a friend turned to me and was just like, I can't take it. I'm out of here. And he just got up and left, and we all watched him go, and we kept watching the movie.
You're like, peace. I had to watch 50 Shades of Grey sitting between your mother and your other sister as they're giggling to themselves. I thought this was going to be one of those moments that I have to remember on my deathbed.
Well, as Mom has said on more than one occasion, we all need a little porn every now and again. Okay, enough. Okay, next week. Wait a minute.
How come they don't have porn where it's like a period costume? That could be. I mean, Bridgerton's on its way. In 5 years, Bridgerton will be just softcore porn.
What's like Lady Chatterley's Lover or whatever? All that Madame Bovary. That's all like.
Which I believe my mother recommended Lady Chatterley's Lover. I think it's on Netflix or Prime.
It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting.
Lady Chatterley's Lover, or that your mother recommends it?
Either one. Column A and column B. So thank you very much. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Aaron, Twitter. I already asked you about Twitter. TikTok.
You didn't ask me about Twitter.
I'll ask you about that later. TikTok, Instagram. What's the word?
The Podcast That Wouldn't Die, babes. Check it out.
And you can email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, are you on social media? What's going on?
I am on social media. I am on the Insta. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. And I am also Don't Feed the Pigeon.
Beautiful.
No, that's not it. Now I got to plug my not social media. Artsy, First Dibs, Aaron Doherty. Go buy some of my Polaroid photography, babies.
Sounds good. Next week, we're going to be doing the William Catt film House. George Wendt is in it from Cheers, and Richard Mall from Night Court. So it's an all-star cast. Ironically, I enjoyed House 2, the second story, more than the
second story. That's
absolutely.
funny.
Which had John Ratzenberger, also from Cheers, starring Ari Gross, who you saw in Soul Man and a few other things.
That name sounds familiar.
And Bill Maher is in it very briefly, shockingly enough. If you want to watch House, you can watch it on Prime Video.
Do I have to pay for it again? Do you realize Critters cost $3.99 for me to rent?
$3.99? Are you out of your mind?
And I fell asleep and had to rewatch it.
So check that out. And the good thing about it is you got William Katt, star of Greatest American Hero.
And Carrie.
And Carrie, believe it or not.
Carrie's not very pleased. She's gonna burn down this building now. How?
So check that out. Send any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, or questions, and we may just talk about it on the show. So good times had by all. So thank you very much, and be well.
One last thing. Kids, if you see Amsterdam on HBO, tell me straight, because Kevin doesn't believe me. Christian Bale is Columbo. His mannerism, his voice, it's not just the glass eye and the trench coat. Tell me the truth. Peace.